when people talk about diabetes, it seems like they put it all in the same category. People mistaking type 1 for type 2, just to make the assumption that it is type 2 and that it's not that big a deal because it can be solved with a pill.
My wife was diagnosed before I met her, but we met when we were in high school, and I actually met her at a JDRF event, which is how I knew that she was a type 1 diabetic.
And I didn't really know what was happening, so it's like I still really don't know what happened, like how she actually got diabetes.
So when Mairead was diagnosed at the doctor's office, he came in to tell me her blood sugar was 409. I also had my younger son there, and he said, "You will be going to the emergency room today. Please bring someone here to get your son."
I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes February 24th, 1986. And from what I know, it was when I went to the pediatrician for just a routine child exam.
It's always a struggle with type 1 diabetes for everything in life. And then when my wife got pregnant, obviously those concerns and those fears just magnified.
I remember seeing, the reaction on my mom and dad's face about the diagnosis. My father's mom had type 1 diabetes, diagnosed, I believe, when she was pregnant with her first baby. So it did run in my family, but it doesn't always run in families.
My sister has diabetes. Sometimes that just scares me that she goes somewhere that I really don't.
For me personally, I was worried about how she was going to manage her numbers, not only through the pregnancy, but through the delivery, which is what I was most concerned with, is how is this going to impact her ability? I mean, delivering a baby, I don't know obviously from personal experience, but it seems to me like one of the most strenuous things that you could do. And I know from watching her exercise or do activity like that and how it impacts her numbers. So my concern was, how is she going to be able to manage her number during the labor and delivery?
Being a mother of a type 1 diabetic can be extremely difficult at times, especially when my youngest was born. At the hospital, we couldn't stay overnight. My husband had to come home. I had to take care of the newborn at the hospital. My mother was calling me as I was in labor to figure out what to do with Marie's blood sugar because it was rising.
When swim alarm goes off, I feel kind of sad for her because she went low, and sometimes when she goes low, we need to give her stuff to treat her blood sugar.
Yeah, I mean, on my life, it's just something that it impacts every aspect of your life. Whether it's financially, and when you're looking at jobs, or you're taking a job, or you switch employers and you're looking at what are the medical benefits I'm going to get here because I have a unique scenario.
One of my first phone calls was to JDRF. We knew we were going to need help and guidance through this. When Mairead was diagnosed, we had no idea what type 1 diabetes was. They immediately sent me a bag of hope, and they sent me someone out to talk to me about type 1 diabetes with a younger child. They've become a family to us.
Yeah, it helps my mom with diabetes because it raises money to get medicine that help her stay alive and be healthier.
Yeah, I mean, JDRF has been a big part of my life for a long time. I mean, my father was a type 1 diabetic, and I think personally watching the way my father managed his diabetes, or inability to manage his diabetes because he was manually taking injections every day, and then seeing how far the progress has come with insulin pumps, and now we're talking about artificial pancreas systems and all these things that I guess the reason I'm so involved and so engaged with it is because I've seen firsthand the impact that JDRF has. I know where these dollars are going. I'm watching with my own eyes the quality of life that my wife has, which is so drastically, so much higher than my father's ever was.
If we had one night without diabetes, I think Mairead would love to go to a carnival and be able to eat whatever she wanted and go on as many rides as she wanted and just play the night all night long, right? I think my husband and I would like a date night without worrying about her and being able to go out and knowing that she'd be cared for properly.
Me and Kenzie really Kiwi, the yogurt place. I would personally want to go with Kenzie to the yogurt place and like get like the biggest size and just load up on frozen yogurt and then put the cookie dough on it and just enjoy the time that when she doesn't have diabetes and just
She wouldn't know what to do, and like I could like go in the pool with her, and like we could have fun without her phone alarm going off, and like she getting up, like us getting up and getting stuff for her.
My wife and I were talking about this before, like what would we do if she wasn't a type 1 diabetic, and travel. Maybe we go to the beach for the night, because something like swimming in the ocean, something that takes something out of you. First of all, she has to disconnect her pump, and then she has to do something as you know, intensive as swimming, and then you come back, it's like, okay, how are her numbers going to be jacked up? So we could go to the beach, but without thinking about any of the potential consequences or impacts or adjustments that we need to make along the way. You know, a lot of people talk a lot about JDRF and the cure for diabetes, and I think some things that get lost along the way are, even if we don't have a cure yet, how far we've come in advancements, to the fact where my wife lives a far more normal life than my dad ever did, and you know, the next generation will live an even more normal life, if not a totally normal life, because we will have found a cure by then.
One night, one rhythm,
One goal.